The 36 Stratagems is a collection of ancient Chinese military tactics and strategies that have been used in various aspects of life, including politics, business, and personal interactions. Originating from the Warring States period around 5th century BC to 21 BC, these stratagems were compiled into a classic text known as the 36 Stratagems. The first set is called Winning Stratagems, which includes the first stratagem to the sixth stratagem. The first stratagem, Mán Tiān Guò Hǎi, is often translated as deceive the heavens to cross the sea. This strategy involves concealing one's true intentions and actions from the enemy or observers, in order to achieve a successful surprise attack or strategic maneuver. The phrase deceive the heavens to cross the sea comes from the idea that even the heavens, which are all-knowing and all-seeing, can be fooled by a well-executed deception. In this context, it means that the enemy or opposing force will be completely unaware of your true intentions, and you can use this element of surprise to your advantage. This stratagem can be applied in various situations, such as military campaigns, business negotiations, or even personal interactions. Here are some key points to understand about this strategy. 1. Concealing intentions. The main element of this stratagem is to keep your true intentions hidden. You may mislead the enemy by spreading false information, making them believe you're planning one thing while actually preparing for another. 2. Surprise attack. By deceiving the enemy about your true plans, you can catch them off guard and create a situation where they are unprepared to respond effectively. 3. Misdirection. It involves skillful use of misdirection to divert the enemy's attention away from your actual objective. 4. Timing. Timing is crucial in executing this stratagem. The deception must be maintained until the critical moment when you execute your actual plan. 5. Psychological warfare. Deception can create confusion and demoralize the enemy, making them more susceptible to making mistakes or misjudgments. 6. Flexibility. This stratagem requires flexibility and adaptability, since you may need to adjust your plans based on how the enemy responds to the deception. It's important to note that while deception can be a powerful tool, it should be used ethically and with careful consideration of potential consequences. Deceiving others can have far-reaching implications, and the ethics of employing such strategies should always be taken into account. In military history, successful applications of this stratagem have led to significant victories, but failure to execute it effectively could lead to disastrous outcomes. The second stratagem, Wei Wei Jiao Jiao, is often translated as besiege Wei to rescue Jiao. This strategy involves creating a diversion or a secondary threat to distract an enemy or opponent's attention while secretly carrying out the main objective. The origin of this stratagem comes from a historical event during the Warring States period in ancient China. Zhao was a state that was under attack by the powerful state of Wei. Instead of directly confronting Wei, the state of Qin, an ally of Zhao, decided to besiege the city of Wei. By doing so, Qin created a diversion and forced Wei to divert their forces to defend their own capital, thus easing the pressure on Zhao and effectively rescuing them. Here are the key points to understand about the besiege Wei to rescue Zhao stratagem. 1. Diversionary tactic. The main idea is to create a diversion or a secondary threat that captures the enemy's attention and resources, making them less able to respond to the actual target. 2. Divide and conquer. This stratagem capitalizes on the principle of dividing the enemy's forces, weakening their overall strength, and then concentrating your efforts on the primary objective. 3. Misleading the enemy. The enemy should be led to believe that the diversionary attack is the main focus, while the true objective remains concealed until the critical moment. 4. Exploiting rivalries. This tactic may also exploit existing rivalries or conflicts between different opponents to create internal divisions that benefit your cause. 5. Timing. Timing is crucial in executing this stratagem. The diversion must be launched at the right moment to create the desired distraction. 6. Flexibility. Flexibility and adaptability are essential to adjust the plan as the situation unfolds, as the success of this stratagem relies on the enemy's response to the diversion. 7. Psychological impact. This stratagem can have a psychological impact on the enemy, leading them to underestimate the true intentions and capabilities of the attacking force. It's important to note that this stratagem is not about actual rescue, but rather about using diversion to achieve a strategic advantage. It has been used in various military and non-military contexts throughout history to deceive and outmaneuver opponents. As with any stratagem, the ethical considerations of its use should be taken into account, as creating diversions or manipulating conflicts can have significant consequences. The third stratagem, Gdoo Sharen, is often translated as kill with a borrowed knife. This strategy involves using a third party or an external force to deal with your primary enemy or opponent on your behalf. The metaphor of borrowing a knife comes from the idea of using someone else's weapon to carry out an attack. Instead of directly confronting the enemy, you manipulate or influence another party to do the job for you. This stratagem is particularly effective when you cannot or do not want to confront your adversary directly, but you have the means to manipulate other actors to achieve your goals. Here are the key points to understand about the kill with a borrowed knife stratagem. 1. Proxy action. The essence of this stratagem is to act indirectly through an intermediary, who might be unaware of your true intentions or might be manipulated into assisting you. 2. Use of existing rivalries. This tactic often exploits existing conflicts or rivalries between the third party and the main target. By aligning your interests with those of the third party, you encourage them to act in a way that serves your purpose. 3. Plausible deniability. Using a third party can give you plausible deniability and distance from the direct action, making it harder for your adversary to trace the attack back to you. 4. Diverting suspicion. By using a borrowed knife, you shift the focus of attention away from yourself and onto the intermediary, potentially creating confusion and reducing the risk of retaliation. 5. Strategic alliances. This stratagem can also involve forming strategic alliances or partnerships to gain support in achieving your objectives. 6. Information warfare. Psychological warfare and manipulation of information can be essential in persuading the intermediary to act on your behalf. 7. Ethical considerations. Using this stratagem involves potential ethical dilemmas, as it may involve manipulating or exploiting others to achieve your goals. It's essential to approach the use of this stratagem with caution, as relying on external parties or intermediaries may introduce unpredictable elements into the situation. The success of this strategy depends on the level of control and influence you have over the borrowed knife. If the intermediary discovers your intentions or becomes uncontrollable, it can lead to backfiring and harm your interests. Historically, this stratagem has been employed in various contexts, including military campaigns, political maneuvering, and business negotiations. Its success lies in the ability to manipulate events indirectly and exploit existing relationships to achieve your objectives. The fourth stratagem, Yì Dài Láo, is often translated as lure the tiger off its mountain by waiting at ease. This strategy involves adopting a defensive or passive stance, waiting for the enemy to exhaust themselves or become vulnerable before launching a counterattack or taking action. The metaphor of luring the tiger off its mountain comes from the idea of a tiger being less vigilant and more vulnerable when it descends from its mountain habitat in search of an easy prey. In this context, the tiger represents your adversary or opponent, and the mountain symbolizes their stronghold or position of strength. Here are the key points to understand about the lure the tiger off its mountain stratagem. 1. Patience and endurance. This strategy requires patience and the ability to endure temporary setbacks or challenges without making rash decisions. 2. Observing the enemy. By waiting and observing the enemy's actions, you can gain valuable insights into their weaknesses, intentions, and vulnerabilities. 3. Strategic retreat. The appearance of a strategic retreat or passivity can entice the enemy to become overconfident or aggressive, leading them to expose themselves to potential counterattacks. 4. Conservation of resources. Adopting a defensive stance allows you to conserve your resources, while the enemy might exhaust theirs in aggressive actions. 5. Seizing opportunities. This stratagem is about seizing the right moment to strike when the enemy is vulnerable or weakened. 6. Psychological warfare. The perception of passivity can play a role in psychological warfare, making the enemy uncertain about your intentions and actions. 7. Surprise and disruption. By launching a counterattack when the enemy least expects it, you can disrupt their plans and create confusion. It's important to note that this stratagem is not about inaction, but rather about strategic patience and waiting for the right opportunity. Success depends on accurate assessments of the enemy's movements and intentions, as well as the ability to time your actions effectively. This stratagem has been employed in military history, where weaker forces have used defensive strategies to outmaneuver and defeat stronger adversaries. However, it can also be adapted to various other contexts, such as business negotiations or political situations, where careful observation and strategic timing are crucial to achieving your goals. The fifth stratagem, Chan Hua Diji, is often translated as plunder a burning house. This strategy involves taking advantage of chaos, confusion, or a crisis situation to seize opportunities or gain an advantage. The metaphor of plundering a burning house comes from the idea that during a fire, people are often in a state of panic and may abandon their belongings or possessions, making it easier for others to take advantage of the situation and grab whatever is valuable. Here are the key points to understand about the plunder a burning house stratagem. 1. Exploiting chaos. This strategy capitalizes on situations of turmoil, chaos, or vulnerability, where people's attention is diverted, and they are less likely to resist or defend their interests. 2. Quick action. The success of this stratagem depends on acting swiftly and decisively to capitalize on the opportunity presented by the crisis. 3. Assessing risks. While the situation may present opportunities, it also involves risks and dangers. Calculating the risks and potential consequences is crucial before taking action. 4. Stealth and discretion. This stratagem may involve acting with stealth and discretion to minimize resistance or opposition from others. 5. Resourcefulness. Being resourceful and creative in identifying valuable opportunities amidst chaos is essential for success. 6. Ethical considerations. Using this stratagem may raise ethical concerns, as it involves taking advantage of vulnerable or distressed individuals. This stratagem can be applied in various contexts, including warfare, business, and politics. In a military setting, it might involve attacking an enemy when they are dealing with internal unrest or a natural disaster. In business, it could mean seizing market share or acquiring assets when a competitor is facing financial difficulties. In politics, it might involve making policy changes during a period of national crisis, when opposition and resistance are likely to be weaker. While plunder a burning house can be an effective strategy to gain advantages, it is essential to consider the potential ethical implications and long-term consequences of taking advantage of vulnerable situations. Employing this stratagem without ethical considerations can damage relationships, reputation, and trust, which may have negative repercussions in the long run. The sixth stratagem, Sheng Dung JX, is often translated as make a sound in the east and strike in the west. This strategy involves creating a diversion or making a show of force in one location to divert the enemy's attention, while actually launching an attack or carrying out the main action in another, seemingly unrelated location. The phrase make a sound in the east and strike in the west comes from the idea of creating noise or commotion on one side to mislead the enemy, and then attacking their weaker or less prepared flank from the opposite direction. Here are the key points to understand about the make a sound in the east and strike in the West Stratagem 1. Diversionary tactic. The main objective is to divert the enemy's attention away from the actual target, creating confusion and making them less able to respond effectively. 2. Misleading the enemy. By making a display of activity in one direction, you lead the enemy to focus their attention and resources there, allowing you to take advantage of their neglect or lack of preparedness in the actual target area. 3. Timing. Timing is critical in executing this stratagem. The diversion must be convincing enough and last long enough to deceive the enemy effectively. 4. Feigning strength. The diversionary action should appear strong enough to convince the enemy that it is the main focus, while your true objective remains hidden until the opportune moment. 5. Flexibility. This stratagem requires adaptability, as you may need to adjust your plans based on the enemy's response to the diversion. 6. Psychological warfare. The deception involved in this stratagem can create psychological pressure on the enemy, leading them to make hasty decisions or misjudgments. 7. Multiple fronts. The stratagem can also be applied on multiple fronts simultaneously, further dividing the enemy's attention and resources. It's important to note that the success of this stratagem depends on the enemy falling for the diversion and not realizing the true intent until it is too late. If the enemy sees through the deception, or has strong enough intelligence and communication networks to coordinate their response, the effectiveness of this stratagem may be diminished. Historically, this stratagem has been used in military campaigns to outmaneuver and defeat stronger opponents. It has also found applications in other domains, such as business and politics, where creating diversions or distractions can be used to gain a strategic advantage. However, like all stratagems, ethical considerations should be taken into account when employing such tactics. As of now, let's conclude for the first set, winning stratagems of the 36 stratagems. If you enjoyed the content, kindly show your support by liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and leaving your valuable comments below. Thank you.